So much.
Gotta ask where the name came from.
That's actually my real last name.
Really?
Yes.
That's the coolest last name I've ever heard.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I have my grandfather to thank for that. He's French. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell us your story, man. You're obviously a local musician. Like, how did you fall into music? Did you grow up around here?
No, I actually grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma. That's where I'm from. And, yeah, I got into music very early. I didn't realize that I'd ever be a musician, but I always loved it, and kind of an interesting story. I think it was probably some of the setbacks that I'd been through, throughout my life that really got me into, finding self-expression through music. And plus I just love to listen to it. I got into rock and roll when I was a young kid, and as I became a songwriter later on in my life, I started to incorporate some of the traumatic experiences from my childhood, that really influenced, how I saw the world and how I saw myself, and relationships, of course, obviously the song that I just, sang, has a lot to do with, why I write what I write, and so, when I was a kid, my father committed suicide when I was just 4, almost 5, 2 days before my birthday. And, my mom was always a really, really strong, tough person, always a really, really great influence, great role model, and it's because of her that I even have, music as an outlet. She and my stepdad came into my life when I was about 9 years old. But before that, she had a boyfriend, who he was a pretty physically and verbally abusive, person, but one, good attribute about him is he had great taste in music. He really loved Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, the Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, the Rolling Stones. All of those things that really influenced me as a kid. It's just really interesting. A lot of my friends listened to NSYNC and Britney Spears and all that stuff that was coming out at that time, and I just loved rock and roll, and then as I got a little bit older, I started listening to, 90s kind of pop punk, Sum 41, Blink-182, Green Day, that kind of stuff. And as I got older and I became a songwriter, guys like Prince and David Bowie, really had a huge influence on me and my sense of style and how I saw myself. And there was a family friend that really kind of kick-started it, got it, going for me. And I just thought he was the coolest guy in the world because he and my stepfather built this mini ramp in my backyard. I was a skateboarder. I've been skateboarding for about 15 years of my life. And, he built this mini ramp in my backyard with my stepdad. And so I thought this guy was so cool. And once it was all said and done, my friends and I were sitting there skating. He busts out this acoustic guitar and starts playing, Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner.
Little Skinner, huh?
Yeah. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so, all of a sudden, I'm not so focused on this ramp anymore. I'm bugging my mom, for a guitar. And I just remember distinctly thinking as a kid that for some reason you couldn't have a guitar. You couldn't have music unless you were, like, born into it. And, just weird things that kids think.
Yeah.
And so I thought somehow you had to be born into it. And so when I discovered that I could have a guitar, I wanted one really bad. And so I bugged my mom. My birthday's in May, and there's a memory of that Christmas, that December. My stepdad and my mom bought me a guitar, my brother and I, and we got into music, and I started playing. It wasn't until I was about 13 or 14 that I actually really started writing my own songs, and it was at that time that I just really, really looked up to my idols, who are, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
It's a good one.
And I thought it was ironic that you guys were playing Learning.
Yeah, I was like, what's a better tune than talking about learning to fly? I'm like, how about learning to fly?
That's amazing.
A little on the nose, but hey.
yeah, I thought that was so ironic because, I just, like I said, I absolutely idolize those guys. And shout out to Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs. They're actually coming here.
Golden State, man.
State.
Yeah.
I will be there.
I think the 17th of May, something like that. Yeah.
The day before my birthday.
Dude, that's a gift.
Right? The universe kind of looked out for me there and was like, here you go, happy birthday.
Nice.
So I'm looking forward to that, and that'll be a lot of fun, So, but Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I think, it's because of them that I do what I do. I got so into their music, and just, I mean, I just thought to myself, this is how you do this.
Yeah.
And it just really shaped me as an artist. So, fast forward, I started forming bands and things like that. I had a band called Locksmith back in 2010, summer of 2010. And all of those members, 4 members, Erica Wobbles, he's got his own thing going on now, The Basement, and Brandon A Gun. He's in a band called The Tonins Official now, and Trevor Lucier is a big, producer in Texas now. And so, those 3 guys and myself formed a band called Locksmith. And, we were doing it around here for a little bit, and we got onto the news, KION, played live, and that was fun. You can find that on YouTube and stuff. And, that was probably the first serious project that I had. And after that, I formed a band called Anomalous Peach. And
great name.
Very interesting name. It was hard to remember. It's probably why we didn't do anything. But I was fortunate enough to work with that same buddy of mine, William, in that project, the guy who, kind of started it all at 9 years old for me. And a good friend of mine that I met through that, project was Rachel Williams. She's also got a group called Holy See now.
Yeah.
And so, through working in that project, I really learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun, and really flourishing kind of as a songwriter and stuff. And from that, I think I got a little, disillusioned for a while. I had to get some ups and downs, in order to really get some experience under my belt. And, it was through the manifestation, I think, of some childhood traumas, that life took me in some crazy directions, and here I am years later out of the ashes, kind of utilizing those traumatic experiences to really move forward, with my life, and with, not just as an artist, but as a person, so it's been a joy, playing around here. I've got some gigs. I'll be playing next week at Rockfish, new place that just opened up on the wharf. And I got some local gigs around here that I'm going to be doing that I'm really excited about. And pretty much what you'll hear, in those things are all these songs that throughout the years, kind of define and outline, my experiences, what I learned from them, and pretty much my mission statement. My goal is to help, those who maybe didn't have the greatest start, in life, and kind of help them to recognize that sometimes, it's important to recognize that you may not always start in the greatest places, but you can always make the best of it. You can always take those experiences and learn from it, and put the best foot forward. So
channel them into something else.
Absolutely.
Well, I know that you're on social media and all that, because you got one gig coming up at Rockfish, and I get a lot more, as well as some music to share. If you want to find that out, what's the best way to do it?
So you can go, onto my Instagram, Brett FRESHoUR. I got a few different ones, for promotional purposes, b.freshhour. I think the best place to check it out is at FRESHourmusic.com. It's spelled just like it sounds, fresh, O-U-R, music.com. It's my real last name, so FRESHourmusic.com. I got a SoundCloud associated with it and stuff, and it's got, pictures of all my experiences and, the places I've played and stuff. And another good place to check me out is at O'Callahan's in the KRML Barnyard. I play there quite frequently. I'll be playing there April 14th as well. And from there, I've set my sights on pretty much any opportunity that I can, in this area. So I'll be around.